Couple of little quick things, though, I want to run through before we get this show on the road. We got a lot of things to talk about today. But one of the things that I want to mention, we got another full house today. Thank you very much for that. Just so you all know out there, in this webinar series, what we've done is we've gone in and updated the capacity. We've upgraded the capacity of seats for these webinars to 250. So now everyone will be able to get in. 186 of you today. So once again, thank you for that. And also, we have the one and only Joe Dion with us today. He'll be answering your questions in real time. So, because I have a lot to talk about here, I'm going to mute you guys. And if you have any questions, just go ahead, type them in the chat box, and Joe will get back to you as quick as possible. Sometimes we end up, last week we had tons of questions. So, and I expect a lot more today with so many of you out there. So also for Mdx series, it's very, very close to coming to your door. And Chinese New Year messed us up a little bit, but what you want to do is make sure you get a hold of the sales, and they'll give you the most up-to-date release information. Should be any time now anyway. Pricing, I know everybody's going to ask that one right away. The Mdx Pre MSRP $399. The Mdx Amp is $549. So we're going to talk about all of these types of things today. A lot of new releases from Russound. It's a really exciting time for us. Brand new IC series speakers are out there. The brand new XTS Plus is out there. We have a brand new app with all kinds of brand new features, and Mdx, the Mdx Amp and the Mdx Pre. And those are the ones we're going to focus on today is Mdx. We're very proud to introduce this to you. One of the best products seen in many, many years from Russound. So once again, lots to talk about. Welcome to Russound. Mdx series audio players are designed to be simple to install and configure streaming media solutions. You can use it as a single audio streamer for a single room or in a whole house system. You can expand this product all the way out to 32 rooms of streaming audio with any combination of Mdx series products. Let's have a little overview of the product itself. We're going to get into, first of all, some of the features and some of the great new stuff that we're going to introduce along with Mdx. And then we're going to get into a little bit of how you go in and set this guy up and stuff like that. So first of all, though, Mdx Pre, streaming media player designed for use with any audio system out there. The Mdx Pre is basically is the replacement for the X Source, but it's a whole different animal. This guy is it's totally different. Much faster processor on board. These guys are lightning fast, and with the addition of things like Chromecast built in, your control and the all of the music services that are available has really gone up a notch here at Russound. Now the Mdx Amp, this streaming media player, this guy has an amplifier built right on board, 50 watts by 2 at 8 ohms, but it is also stable down to 4 ohms. It's 70 watts by 2 at 4 ohms. So Mdx Amp for a state-of-the-art streaming audio system for up to 32 rooms in a single installation. Mdx series streamers feature Apple Airplay streaming with full metadata to your iOS or Android or your XTS Plus. And yes, I'll answer this question right away. Airplay 2 is on the docket. We're looking at that. We're working with that. We don't have a timetable for that, but stay tuned for Airplay 2 as well. Chromecast built in. We're very excited about this one with metadata once again to iOS and Android. But Chromecast, this is a way that to control your Russound system. Of course, the app will give you all of the control that you want. But Chromecast, you have Google Voice in there where you can go in and you can do room grouping, all kinds of things, and also adds a whole new list of music services that will be available to you guys out there. High-res audio support also, so 24-bit support here, and USB for flash or external USB hard drive-based music, iTunes, things along those lines. We're going to talk all about DLNA stuff in a little while. Streaming of local DLNA compliant audio, plus built-in Wi-Fi. We're Wi-Fi certified, and Bluetooth also built in with this guy. So as you can see right out of the box here, this guy is set up to go. You're going to control all of your settings, bass, treble, balance, loudness, all that stuff through the Russound app. Onboard browser-based web configs, so you can configure your MBX series very, very easily from your smartphone or tablet. And you can mix and match any MBX series products for very versatile system designs. And these guys were slated all along to be available here in Q1 2019. Once again, this is very, very close. So you want to make sure that you stay in touch with Steve and Brad and those guys in sales, and Mike Gatto and them. They can help you out. The MBX Pre adds streaming to any audio system out there. You can take a MBX Pre, and in this case, I pulled up an image of about a 30-year-old receiver there. You can plug the MBX Pre into anything where you have an open source input. And this guy, very, very versatile. You can use it in commercial applications for systems that are already out there, commercial systems that just want to add streaming. You can do that, because also there'll be Sirius Xm for business that you can pull up as well. So a lot of opportunities with the MBX Pre being very, very versatile like it is. Not, you know, specifically just a Russound product. It will plug into any amplifier or receiver out there that has open source input. For audio inputs, you have digital and analog stereo inputs, and you also have digital or analog outputs as well. And 12-volt trigger out to make sure that system power stays in sync. And you can integrate in source mode in a MCA series. For example, if you have an MCA 88, you could take your MBX Pre, go into web config, set it up into source mode, and plug it right in, and have that as a source in your MCA series to share up to 48 zones. Or you can put it in zone mode and plug it into any amplifier or receiver out there in kind of a standalone situation in zone mode. We're going to talk a little bit more about how to do all that stuff in just a little bit. But everything is controllable with the Russound app and XTS Plus. Have a look at the back of this guy. Let's walk across the back. First of all, once again, that 12-volt trigger to keep system power in sync. And then you have your audio inputs, analog or digital. So you can add another source through this guy as well. Plus right here, you have digital and analog line outputs that you can use to connect to any receiver or whatever. You also have a USB port right here for flash drive or hard drive music. And then there's your network connection right there, your Ethernet port to connect it to the network right there. So let's have a look at this little MBX Pre, okay? This guy is 8 1/4 inches wide. It's 1 1/4 inches high, and it's 7 inches deep. And it weighs a whopping 1 pound. And you look across the back of it here, it just doesn't look like it'll do that much. You know, it's not packed in the back like you see on a MCA 88, for example, or something like that, where there's just all the real estate is used up on the back of the unit. This guy looks fairly simple, doesn't it? It's not really going to do a whole lot. But let's have a look at what we can do with simple, okay? We're going to add an amplifier, connect some speakers, we'll connect it to the network right there. We can connect an XTS Plus. We can use an app to control it. We can use an external source right here. We connect our TV up to it there, connect the NAS drive up to it. Check this out, subwoofer, all of this from the MBX Pre. This could all be in one room right here, just set up as a single zone mode. Let's have a look at the amp. The MBX Amp, Wi-Fi streaming zone amplifier. That's what this guy is. 50 watts by 2 at 8 ohms, 70 watts by 2 at 4 ohms. And because of the power that we've added on board with this, it's an awesome amplifier, great sounding amplifier in here. We also incorporated a feature called soft clipping. Soft clipping is going to roll off those hard edges for you. We'll talk about that a little bit on the next slide. But this guy's scalable all the way up to 32 rooms. You can integrate it with a local TV. That's the cool way to use this guy, is to use it, plug the TV right into it, like you just saw what I did with the Pre. But you can do a full setup like this with the Mdx Amp as well. But one of the things about integrating it with a local TV is you have IR control. I mean, you don't see that with these guys very often. We're going to talk a little bit about that guy as well. You have also subwoofer out on this, built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and IR learning for volume and mute. There's a little few other things you're going to do, though, if you use the Russound remote control as well. And this guy also available Q1 2019. Once again, we're right on the edge with this. So when they get through with the Chinese New Year, maybe we can move forward. Let's talk a little bit about soft clipping. First of all, clipping. When you're looking at clean AC power, a sine wave, clean AC, there's nice clean sine waves you're looking at right here, right? Well, if you push that power supply beyond its limits, it will start clipping, which means it actually producing DC power rather than AC. And what happens is it chops off the top of those sine waves, and that's what you hear as distortion and noise in your system. Well, first of all, clipping will square off those waveforms when that power supply is pushed beyond its limits, doesn't it? What soft clipping does is it rounds off those hard edges for you. It gives you a nice soft slope like that. So it'll minimize the possibility of damaging your brand new IC series Russound ceiling speakers. Those new ceiling speakers sound awesome. So what you want to do is you want to make sure, that you put the proper power into them, and that when you're going to bang on that volume control, if you're going to lean on that, take the loudness off, and you won't run into these kinds of troubles quite so quick, though. The Mdx Amp has IR learning for volume and mute. It can learn volume up, volume down from any remote. Plus, this extra feature we built on board, you can use the Russound USRC remote control commands, including volume up, volume down, mute, favorite 1, favorite 2, play and pause, next track, previous, as well as direct access to the last item, last played item sources. And so you have analog line in, last played, digital line in, last played, P&P last played, USB tune in, Sirius Xm, Tidal, Deezer, Arable Radio, all last played right from that remote. Being able to do this with IR controls is very unique to the streaming world. I've been looking around out there. I don't see anything out there that will do this. Very, very unique to the streaming world. Let's have a look at the back of the Mdx Amp right here. Once again, connect that up to a local TV. That's the way to use the Mdx Amp. It's a very, very cool product when you set it up this way. You guys got to give it a try when you get your samples. Try it out that way. You can connect any source here. You got digital and analog inputs on this guy. All right. Also, you can connect the external amplifier to this if you want. You have audio outputs right there. And one of the cool things is that the speaker outputs here and the preamp output are active at the same time. So you can connect up to 2 pairs of speakers here, parallel 2 pair of 8 ohm speakers. So you're looking at a 4 ohm load right off the speaker outs. Then you could add an amplifier and add as many more speakers as you want to. Add a D1650, and right there you can add another 8 pairs of speakers plus to this guy. So very, very versatile. Once again, 50 watts by 2 at 8 ohms, 70 by 2 at 4 ohms, subwoofer output right here, IR control for integration with a local TV. Just that IR control right there will be volume up, volume down, and mute from any remote control. And a USB port right there for your flash drive music. There's your Ethernet port right there. And once again, 12-volt trigger for keeping system power in sync right there. Okay. So that's what the back of the Wi-Fi streaming zone amplifier looks like, Mdx Amp. So once again, let's take a quick look here. Same thing. This guy 8 1/4 wide, 1 1/4 high, 7 inches deep. But this guy comes in at a whopping 1.5 pounds. So yeah. So anyway, once again, doesn't look that exciting when you look at it at the back here, but let's see what we can do with this one. I'm going to parallel 2 pairs of speakers off this one. Let's add an outboard amp. I'm going to add another pair of speakers and subwoofer. Let's connect it to the network with an XTS Plus. We also can control it with the app. We can add a TV. We can add a NAS drive. Look at this. Look at this. You could do this, and once again, in a single room, or this could be part of a system all the way up to 32 rooms. Check that out. Now, for mounting options, the amp comes with mounting brackets. The pre does not. The pre, there's really no heat, anything like that. It's just made to sit on a shelf, right? But the Mdx Amp is UL approved, so few things we have to keep in mind here. This guy is tabletop or shelf mount, okay? You can also do wall mount with this one because the brackets are included, okay? You can see right here, you can hang it either this way, but they're at both ends. Also, if you do have an MBX pre, and you want to hang it, use wall brackets with us, you just get a hold of us, get a hold of the guys in sales, and they'll set you up with some brackets for the pre. We'll have some extra ones around for you guys. So rack shelf mount needs to be 2U or larger rack shelf, okay? That's what's required for adequate ventilation with the UL approval, okay? So, but just keep in mind, the brackets only come with the amp, not with the pre. Now, for some shared features, you look at the front panel here. If you look at the front panel, you can't tell if you're looking at an amp or a pre. They look exactly the same from the front panel. So what you have, though, is you have instant access to 2 favorites right from the front panel. You can also store whatever's playing, whatever's currently playing. You can go in and store that as a favorite while it's playing if you want to. And one touch to music, when you hit the play button, it will instantly go to the last played item. Plus, you have easy, accessible volume controls, again, right on the front panel. So if you don't have that phone in your hands or whatever, you can control volume up and down, favorites, things like that, right from the front panel of the unit. You can also go in and activate Bluetooth pairing this way as well. Bluetooth, of course, to pair a Bluetooth device, you got to enter pairing mode, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to press and hold these 2 buttons down simultaneously right here, the 2 outer buttons, the favorites and the volume. What you're going to do is hold those down for a few seconds until this LED starts blinking blue, okay? Then you just use your phone or tablet to complete the pairing process. That's all. So very, very easy. Other shared features, next-gen processor. This is the thing about MBX that is what we're so excited about is this is ultra fast and responsive. It's lightning. We have these guys set up and test right here along with all of our competitors' products, things that you guys know very well. And we've been going, head to head with all of these. And I put this thing up against anything out there in the industry. As a matter of fact, I think it's a little bit better. Very, very stable was one of the biggest things. What we found is when some of the other ones in there would drop off the network occasionally here or there, MBX was solid. It was stable. You have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on these guys, easy room grouping as well. Room grouping, you can actually do that right through Chromecast with Google Voice. It's really cool that you can do that. And when you use Google Voice like that, it's better than Alexa because you don't have to say, Alexa, tell Russound to, or whatever. You just say, hey, play Joe Bonamassa, and it will. Play Joe Bonamassa in the living room, kind of thing. Front panel controls on both of these guys, digital and analog inputs on both, digital and analog outputs on both, 12-volt triggers on both, right? Now you got to remember though, when you go in to set these guys up, when you go in to set up all the accounts with all the music services and all that kind of stuff, all these account settings are individual settings for each MBX streamer. So if you have multiple MBX devices, you got to remember each must be configured with the appropriate account login information. Okay, every single one has to be set up. And what's really cool about this, though, is the audio streaming uses substantially less bandwidth than video streaming or large file transfers. Really, audio streams 64 kilobytes per second to 160, you know, in most streaming services. Very, very low. And as opposed to, you know, megabytes per second for video. And high-res audio stream, you know, at 320 kilobytes per second is about as big as it gets. So, and high res, by the way, it's available. So any high res content, you'll be able to reproduce that. But it takes up a lot less bandwidth. So music services, you can really go crazy with those guys. And so for control of all of these new music services, what we had to do was we went in and did some really nice upgrades to the Russound app. You know, most of these changes you won't really see them if you're controlling an MCA series controller or older streamer. These new features are all for MBX. Okay, so we have now support for Tidal, Deezer, and any audio through Chromecast. So Chromecast built in is very exciting. It's really cool. Plus very fast, intuitive, and easy room grouping right through the app as well. With the new app for album art menu navigation, you have enhanced visual appeal, easier to use. It's easier for finding music based on artwork rather than text. And also for recently played items, you have instant access to most recently played, allowing another quick and easy option for selecting your music. Also, track position and seek. You can go to a specific place on any track, podcast, audiobook instantly. Very, very easy to do. And Spotify Connect presets. This is really cool. Saving a Spotify track, album, or playlist or station as a preset lets it be accessed immediately from your phone without having to launch that Spotify app. So it's very, very cool that way. You just go in and set it as preset. Now, for these music services, this is kind of what you've been used to seeing from Russound over the years, the last bunch of years. You know, we had a pretty good lineup, but as you can see, you know, there's a lot of holes, right? There's holes everywhere, but we had some really nice stuff for you guys to be able to use. And for anything that wasn't listed here, you know, you had Apple Airplay so if your favorite music service didn't show up here, then you could easily Airplay it right to the device, right? Well, Wi-Fi streaming at Russound just got a Sirius Pro upgrade. We filled in the holes. Check this out. By using Chromecast built in and adding Deezer and Tidal, now you have access to all these different music services, iHeartRadio, Napster, Slacker, Rhapsody, all those guys, all now available with Chromecast built in. So the new look here, what we call NASCAR, it's all filled in now. Let's have a look at what these services really are, right? Free services right out of the box. You got Apple Airplay, you got Bluetooth, USB, Dlna content, flash drive, NAS drive audio. You got Spotify Connect, vTuner, TuneIn Radio. You have Arable Radio, and also new from Russound, Chromecast. Chromecast now allows you to have Google Play Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Napster, Rhapsody, NPR One, YouTube Music, Slacker, Quello, SoundCloud. Check that out. This is all out of the box. You don't have to do a thing. This is all just go in and set it up. But if you want, there's also some of the services out there that require a paid subscription, such as Sirius Xm for Business, Sirius Xm, Pandora Premium, Spotify Premium, Tidal Premium, Deezer. Also, it's free on smartphones only. But check out this lineup card, huh? quite a change and an upgrade for Russound. Now, speaking about music services, I want to throw this in right now while we have a chance for Sirius Xm for Business. We still have the promo going on for you guys to make some money. You want to make sure that any commercial installation that you bring legal and licensed music to your business customers. Don't let them get fined by the ASCAP BMI cops out there, okay? This fines are serious. So once again, you can use these products, Mdx products, in commercial applications with Sirius Xm for Business. And every time you activate Sirius Xm for Business, you can make 75 bucks a pop, okay? Or you can go in and set it up in the portal as a recurring revenue. So there's some RCIs out there that are making some money off this right now. So, but dealers can earn $75 for every single subscription. So all you got to do for this isn't something you got to go through Russound. All you go is SiriusXM.com/Russound, or call this 800 number, 684-7050, and that'll get you started to be able to go into the Sirius Xm for Business promo, put some money in your pocket. Now, Apple AirPlay, we talk about this. I get asked questions a lot. What's the difference between AirPlay and Bluetooth? What makes one better than the other, or what have you? Well, AirPlay has the capability of playing across a much larger distance than Bluetooth. That's all it is, and it actually sounds better. Bluetooth range is 15 to 20 meters, whereas AirPlay is only limited by your Wi-Fi network. You can go anywhere you want, wander around the home. As long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can use AirPlay. Where, Bluetooth, you got to kind of connect, and then you got to pair with the unit, and then just basically put the phone down and leave it there so that it doesn't get interrupted. AirPlay also uses lossless compression, where Bluetooth uses lossy compression. So with AirPlay, every bit of data remains after that file is uncompressed. Some technologies such as Bluetooth just don't have the ability to retain every single bit of that data. So it's called lossy. They're losing a little bit. So AirPlay offers direct communication between the iOS device and the AirPlay speaker as well, including volume control. So you're actually capable of controlling the volume of the AirPlay speaker, not just of the iOS device itself. So AirPlay is a great feature, it really is. But it's only available on Apple devices and a few other certified devices. There's the real downfall to it. Bluetooth you can use with pretty much anything, right? So it works with a number of devices and operating systems, not just like Apple or iOS like AirPlay does. So much more broad-based use for Bluetooth. It's also capable of sounding pretty good, AAC. But the cons, again, unlike AirPlay, you have to be in close proximity. So, and also it's lossy compression, which not quite as good as AirPlay. So, there's your differences between Bluetooth and AirPlay. 95% of the people I talk to use Bluetooth, but yeah, there you have it. Now for USB, flash and NAS drive music, okay, this is all DLNA content that you're trying to access here. You have USB 2.0, okay, for media playback. And so you're going to be looking at this screen right here, and you're going to be able to use all these file formats right here, okay? So you got MP3, WAV, OGG Vorbis, FLAC, AAC, AAC+, so that's all the stuff for Apple and all that kind of stuff. FLAC is what you're going to find in most stuff. It's free lossless audio compression. So you can get all the way up to 24-bit with FLAC. So that's kind of what's out there. But what is DLNA anyway? Well, a streamer that supports DLNA can stream music from your NAS drive to your multi-room system, okay, from your PC, as long as you have a DLNA server on that PC first, okay? But for DLNA out there, Digital Living Network Alliance, there's over 4 billion units out there certified DLNA right now, across more than 25,000 device models. So it's been around for 13 years certifying all these products, but they've kind of reached the end of their thing. So now it's all managed by Spark International out of Portland, Oregon. They're handling any DLNA certification at this time. So all DLNA certified devices use universal plug and play. That's how they discover and talk on the network. It's also known as Play 2 or UPnP AV. Okay, and it's easy because the software you'll need is built right into Windows. Okay. And also the third-party servers, DLNA servers out there with more features. You got Plex, Servio, PlayOn, Universal Media, Twonky, all these, and they can run on any operating system out there. Okay, so you're in pretty good shape with that. That's Digital Living Network Alliance. And high-res audio, what's the difference between high-res? Well, first of all, MBX series all feature high-res audio for the very best sound quality out there. High-res is lossless audio that's capable of producing full-range sound from the recordings that are mastered from better than CD quality sources, okay? What's that mean? It means this right here. First of all, when you look at the sine wave on a master recording, nice smooth wave right there, all, everything is very nice and smooth. That's all music that you're seeing. Every bit of this has music. Well, when they compress and do it on CD at 16-bit, in the playback, look at this. All that slope right there with his music, boom, it's gone. All that slope right there with music, it's all chopped up. There's no music there, none there, none there. So it's basically very lossy, okay? But high-res, when you go to high-res, look what they do here, okay? They add all these little steps back in there as good as they can so what you find is that this wave right here now much more mimics this wave over here than this one. So high-res audio, MBX. Now let's have a quick look at first-time setup, some of the things that you're going to go through here after you take this guy out of the box, okay? First-time setup and network connections, it requires network connection for network connection has been established, okay? Amber means that it's ready, but it's not connected to a wired or a Wi-Fi network, okay? So you make sure that connects. And speaking about connections, these are a couple of things I put in here for tech support. These are the calls that we take all the time. So this is going to be the main thing here as far as, setting up your network. You got to make sure, you got to understand some of the most common problems can be caused simply by network configuration and out-of-date firmware. You go in and set up the network, configure that properly and update your firmware, then boom, everything's good to go. So anytime possible, do not use the ISP modem router combinations. They have a lot of incompatible settings that can, cause some issues with connection and communication. So we highly recommend a dedicated wireless 802.11 and or 802.11 AC router, okay, for this. Wireless works really great. We're Wi-Fi certified, everything, but hardwire network devices whenever you can. Anytime you can hardwire anything, it will always be a better way to set it up. ISPs have sole control over the device settings of their modem routers. They can send updates to reset and reinitialize, or they could even have you replace that unit at their discretion, right? So they push automatic updates that a factory default all of your stuff that you went in and did. So that's where we hear, on tech support calls, well, the Russound system was working yesterday. What happened? Well, you can talk to the ISP about that one. So it's really beneficial for RCIs to keep a few generic modems, TrendNet, Motorola, Surfboard, stuff like that. Keep those guys on the truck so you can swap it out whenever you can with non-bundled type services, right? So if you are stuck with a bundled service, IPS provided network router, modem router, these are the configurations to look for if you're going to attempt to configure that ISP router. Okay. Once again, not recommended, and not always possible even. So you got to make sure UPnP is enabled. Make sure multicast is enabled. IGMP has to be enabled. WMM has to be enabled. IGMP proxy, IGMP snooping, multicast filtering, and WMM proxy all need to be disabled. Okay, so on an ISP router, make sure that you took a screenshot of these settings right here. Also, a very important tech tip right here is with satellite internet services. You know, due to the inherent high latency nature of satellite internet service, it's generally incompatible with reliable audio streaming in general, you know. So that's why we do not recommend MBX series in satellite internet type systems. Again, the primary cause is very high latency. So you can run into some problems there, okay? DSL connections are much, much faster. We recommend DLNA-based stuff for this, okay? NAS drives, flash drives, Airplay, Bluetooth, all that kind of stuff, these types of solutions from a dedicated audio source rather than trying to do internet streaming on a satellite system. Talk to tech support about this one. They can help you out. Now, when you go in there now to set this thing up, web config, you can go in and set up some really nice stuff with web config. You can go in and do the general network configuration, you know, set it up to either DHCP or static. I mean, it's going to be DHCP right out of the box. You can go in and set static IP in there if you want to, or IP reservation, whatever you call it. Firmware updates can be done. Automatic firmware updates, schedule those guys to happen at a time when the system is not in use, you know, 3 in the morning, something like that. Automatic firmware updates, it's a great way to go. Zone and source mode, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. These are the things that you can do in web config to go in and set up your MBX player. For Ethernet connection, if you're installing an MBX series on a job with no internet access, well, that's not going to fly. You got to configure these guys at your shop, you know, where there's internet access before you take it out to the job site. Because 2 things have to be done. You got to be able to go in and unlock it, right? You got to go in and enter RCI credentials to unlock the gear, and then you got to check for and download the latest firmware as well. So, and you have to be using web config to do this stuff. So you must be connected to a network to go in and set this up. Finding that IP address is really easy from the home screen. You know, on an XTS Plus, for example, you just go into the settings menu and then you press and hold the X until you reach admin settings, and then boom, there it is right there. IP address will be right there. Also, Fing. Most of the guys I know out in the field, this is what they're using. It's a network discovery tool, of course, IP scanning. So Fing reports include a lot of nice information, router brand and model, switch brand and model, service provider, all that kind of stuff. So Fing, great tool to use. So now when that installer goes in there, okay, he can connect to and unlock MBX series via the IP address using his phone or tablet and configure it using web config. It's very, very easy to go in and configure this guy. Ethernet connection, first time setup. You got to remember it's used for configuration and programming, yes, but it's also used for enabling control with the app and the touch screen, and also for using the built-in streaming services, right? So we're going to go in and let's go talk about each one of these little things just a little bit here. Network connection type, default is DHCP, but again, you can configure it with a IP using web config. And when network type is set to automatic, that's what we recommend right here. Under network type, you have automatic, wired, and wireless. It's default, it's automatic right out of the box. You can use either wired or wireless, but the auto, once again, automatic is default. And that's what we recommend for most systems out there, because what it'll do is it will prioritize the wired connection whenever it's present. So if you go in but if you lose your wired connection, it will automatically defer over to wireless. So, but if you set it just to wired like that, then all of your Wi-Fi radios will be disabled. And if you set it to wireless, that'll disable the Ethernet port right there. So set it to automatic, best way. So if you want to add Wi-Fi configurations to this guy, info under wireless, you choose Wi-Fi, select Wi-Fi, and then a list of available Wi-Fi networks will appear. If you want to manually enter SSID or password, just hit enter manual SSID, and then you enter the network configuration information right there. You just follow the prompts, and that will help you out. Now, Chromecast, this is the way to go right here. It allows the user to access this screen right here. First of all, you got to go in and make sure you accept all this stuff. But first time setup, for network setup, we do recommend set up your Wi-Fi, using the Google Home app for both your iOS and your Android. This will guarantee that the Mdx is set up for Chromecast at the same time. Doing it this way, the home's Wi-Fi settings will automatically be transferred to the Mdx. So there's no need to key in an SSID or a password. The Google Home app will transfer data, from your phone automatically. So the thing is also, by using Chromecast, that's a really nice way to control the system as well, and talk using voice control also, Google Voice. So you got to review this guy, and then once you've accepted everything, you just hit accept, and then you move on, right? And firmware updates, you got to remember, by default, it'll search periodically for any updates. So you want to make sure, just when an update is available, the update will happen automatically. So you go in and set it to any time when the system is not going to be in use. Okay, so you just go into the admin firmware update section of web config right there. It's always recommended to run the most recent firmware, because any additional features, support services, all that stuff, and updating won't erase any settings or configuration that you've done. So when you're all done with your firmware updates, just hit done, and that exits your first time menu and will take you to web config for further configuration, where now you're going to go into device setup, right? So you go into the device system setup settings, and you go into that menu to enable or disable the configuration password. The password is disabled right out of the box by default, but you can enable that if you don't want anyone to go in and be able to mess with your configuration. The password, a lot of you are familiar, when it's enabled, is Russound 123. Went through this with all of the XSource stuff, right? But the password is static and it can't be changed. So when enabled, the password has to be entered in order to change any configuration settings at all. Russound 123. And for device setup will be next. This is where you're going to go in and set it up in either source mode or zone mode. It's going to be under general settings, right under device mode. This is very important as to how you're going to use it, because source mode is if you're going to connect it as a source, to like a Russound MCA controller. So you have to make sure you go in and set this as source mode, for that. Zone mode is if you're going to be connecting it with any other amplifier or receiver. So you would go in and select zone mode for that. Okay, makes sense. Standalone zone mode. Shared as a source through all the zones, source mode. Once again, source mode. This is how it all works. This is how you would connect in the Mdx Pre, for example, in source mode up to a Russound MCA 88 controller. Just use that digital out right there. That's the way to go, right? So can easily add it as a source to your Mdx controller, and now this can be shared among the throughout the entire system. In source mode, again, to set it up, you go into web config, navigate to the setup menu, and then under device mode, you just select source mode, just like that. And then naming, you have to go in and name the Mdx after right there. Okay, name it kitchen, living room, whatever you want to, but that's what you're going to see in the app right there. And then Airplay, once again, it's optional. Airplay password. If you want to add a password, go ahead, put in your password, click apply. If you don't want to, just leave it blank. And then lastly, using it in source mode, you got to configure the controller. Okay, next. So you navigate to configuration and source settings to name your Mdx first. And then under source type, you just select Russound Media Server. That's it. You're done. You're done. It's now configured to work with your Russound controller. Now, zone mode, once again, this is what we were talking about with a pre all by itself, connected up to an amplifier. This is what's called zone mode right here. This could be any room that could be connected to a stereo receiver or amplifier or anything out there. Okay, that's zone mode. To set it up in the zone mode, once again, device mode selection. This time you select zone mode. Then you name your MBX. Once again, kitchen, bedroom, what have you. Then you go in and set up your AirPlay password again. But this time, when you're in zone mode, you got to go in and adjust the volume trim. Okay, you don't have to; it's optional. And you want to make sure you set up your line output settings, depending on if you're going to connect an amplifier to the line outs. You want to select either fixed or variable on that line output right there, and that's all there is to it in zone mode. Factory reset, very, very easy. The factory reset button has 3 functions. Okay. This guy, if you give it a quick momentary press, it'll just do a reboot on the whole system. If you do a 3-second press and hold, it will take your any of your settings and restore it back to DHCP. If you press and hold that button, that factory reset button right there for 10 seconds, it will be a complete factory reset, factory default. It will restore that MBX right back to its right out of the box, and you're going to have RCI credentials to get back in there and unlock it and set it up again using web config. And also the 10-second press deletes all the personal info, account settings, all that kind of stuff. Total default right back to out of the box. Okay, so there's the things that you really need to pay attention to when you're going in to set this guy up. So, and then you're going to connect this guy up and you're going to be listening to it through your brand new IC series speakers. These guys have already hit the streets, and we're very proud of these speakers. These are the best speakers that have ever come from Russound. Far and away the most advanced and far and away the very best sounding speakers that we've ever done. And once again, sounding was everything. We really, really shot for sound quality. We've gone up against everybody out there. Ours are better. Give them a shot. Plus, you're going to love putting them in. You don't need any tools, nothing. Just cut the hole. And then after that, you take that, grab any of these speakers, buy that tweeter bridge right there. You got the grippable tweeter bridge. You're not going to hurt anything. It's design. We partnered with a company called Swarm. Swarm, a very cool company. What they do is they look at products and see how humans would naturally interact with the product. And then they design the product based on how the human wants to interact. Well, when we're installing ceiling speakers all through the years, a tendency is to grab that tweeter bridge, right? But, you got that soft dome tweeter and the tinsel wires, all that, and you can break stuff. So, anyway, this one, though, you just grab it right by that tweeter bridge, stick it in the hole, hit 3 blue buttons, and walk away. Go to the next speaker. So no tools required. If you want to take them out, you just put a Phillips screwdriver in that little thing right there, give it a half a turn, and that pops the dog right there. It'll unlock it for you. So everything, crossovers, binding posts, everything is all top quality. And once again, trademark SwiftLock from Russound. IC series speakers. Those are out there right now. Give them a try. Give them a try. So let's wrap this up, right? Russound. Why Russound? Profitability. That's why. Because our RCI-enabled products do not function unless they're unlocked by an authorized Russound dealer. We do not ship directly to the end user. We don't sell to anybody but you guys. We're interested in protecting the installer out there and your pocket. That's what we're interested in. So very, very profitable. You can make your margins back. Professional grade solutions, once again, they're only available through professional integrators called Russound certified installers. The free native app, it's free, right? My Russound app to control MBX series. You don't need a license, anything. Easy and efficient setup process, web config, browser-based configuration, app control. You can have a fully functioning system, and the streaming capabilities plus AirPlay and Bluetooth are built into all of our Russound MBX series product. We're really proud of these products. They're going to be out there real soon. We promise you that. And once you get these in your hands, I think you'll agree this is one of the most exciting products from Russound in many, many years. So I want to thank you folks for joining us today. We had a full house. I want to thank you for that. Look at that. Wow. So enjoy your day. Enjoy your customers. And thank you for joining us.